great. Okay. Okay. I think we are back in the game now.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, on how to build a resume that gets noticed. My name is Lotta Struing, and I am really, really thrilled to be able to share this very important information with you today. You are here because you want help with getting into the career or the job that you want. You know you have the skills and you can do the job, but getting this step accomplished may be a challenge. The first step in building the process is having a resume that really stands out and above the crowd. Once you have that step completed, you can begin to take the next step to take control of your career. This webinar tonight is to help you with that first step, which some of you might find most difficult. I'm happy to share that information with you now. Recently, I was at Connexus 14, which is the largest career development conference in Canada. I came back even more excited than when I went because not only did I learn a lot of information and I met some fabulous people, I also had my knowledge, especially about resumes, validated in the industry, and I'm going to share that information with you tonight. Before we start, I want to go over a bit of some housekeeping with you. First, I want you to sit, relax with a cup of tea or a glass of wine. You have the slides in front of you, but I'm going to be providing you with more information than what's on them. So I want you to stay engaged. So if you want to just take some notes during this next hour, please do so. I've just got to stop. I've got some questions.
It says your screen is being shared.
They don't
but
see
they
it?
don't see it, and they did.
Okay, I'm just being told that you're not seeing the screen. Okay, what I'm going to ask you to do then, because I do want to keep going, is we're going to work on sharing the screen right now because it is indicating that it is sharing. So what I'd like to ask you to do is if you're not seeing it on your screen, if you can pull up the PowerPoint presentation that was sent to you prior to the meeting, because then for sure you'll be able to follow along, and I will prompt you when we change to another slide. So again, I want to make sure that you can hear me very well. So if at any point during the webinar you can't properly, please let me know and I'll try and accommodate. Lauren is sitting back and taking all the information in the chat box, so she'll make sure that we can get everybody up to speed and accommodated. This webinar is live and it's being recorded, and I've chosen to do this because although I have great content to share, I know you're going to have questions and I want you to get the answers you need. I want to honor our 1 hour, and so I'm going to ask that you type your questions into the chat window, and I'm going to respond to them during natural transitions in the topics. My very good friend and brilliant businesswoman and moderator, Lauren, who has already spoken to you, will help with those questions throughout. Lauren will break in at those natural progressions, and she's going to ask the questions. When we finish at 8 p.m., I am going to stay on the line for some time until we get all the questions answered, because it is very important to me that you get the answers you want tonight. We're going to be addressing resumes in detail tonight, but I don't have specific issues with personal resumes. The PowerPoint presentation, everybody does have it, so please follow along in that if you can't see the screen. I'd like to begin with who I am, and some of you already know me, but I always know better. I always learn better when I know the person that is moderating. So who am I as your host? I am a lifelong learner, and I believe that career strategy is a lifelong skill and that we must embrace and consciously plan for it. My name is Lotta Struing. I began my career in the era when opportunities just happened, as some of you may also have experienced. It was a really good time. Unfortunately, we aren't in that era anymore, and it's not always as easy to have a vibrant career as it once was. However, it is very possible, and getting the right guidance along the way is the key to an easier path to success. You may right now have a stumbling block in getting your resume noticed or even noticed for your contributions. You know you're the right fit for so many jobs, but you just can't get in the front door. The purpose of this webinar is to give you that key, the starting point, which is your resume. I am passionate about strong careers for everybody. I love working with career professionals from all walks of life and all industries. Those who believe in strong careers and understand that having a strong career is the foundation for so many amazing things in our lives, and the ones that are willing to work to get there and stay there. None of us can do it alone, and enlisting help when you need it is a powerful resource, and I'm really hoping to help you tonight. I've had the privilege of working with many, many people, especially during the recession, to help them with their careers. And it was in that time that I found my true calling, which is coaching people with their career strategy. That was a catalyst in starting my new career as a business owner. I know and I understand your challenges, excitement, and the frightening times that we all go through in our career or careers. As a single mother raising 2 boys, it was a huge challenge, but one that I knew that I needed to make in order to live with integrity and according to my values. Throughout this webinar, you're going to learn about the very important tool, which is your resume. And a good day for me is when I can help someone, and I am confident this information is going to help you create a great resume. But I'm also going to give you access to an entire toolbox that's available at the end of this webinar. What I want to do now is leave you with a promise. It's why you're here. I have specific takeaways for you for tonight. First and foremost, I'm going to tell you why resumes have to change. And this is the key to unlocking the mystery of how to write a resume noticed. Knowing the different types of resumes and why and when to use them. Understanding branding in the context of careers and resumes in particular. Solidifying your understanding of all the different areas of the resume, and knowing how to write about what you're great at in a manner that attracts the reader's attention, and understanding how to keep your resume and your career in tip-top form. It's a tall agenda, but we're going to get through it. Many people think a resume is a document that just needs to come out and be dusted off when you're looking for a job. I'm going to change that perspective for you this evening, and not to necessarily think about the resume as a piece of paper, but rather a metaphor. That metaphor is about creating and maintaining you to be your best. Whether you're and you like to remain that way, or you're a business owner, we all have the same needs to keep our career vibrant. We all have to keep growing, learning, and demonstrating our value. And as you'll see when we go through this webinar, it is really important to demonstrate value. The resume is a tool to do that. It's a very handy tool for that. For some, you're going to leave this webinar and you're going to get just what you need, and you're going to move forward very productively. And that's what I want for you. Because in this first step, it's the process of supporting. And beyond that, you need to have an understanding of branding, navigating social media, because that's how most jobs are found these days, networking effectively, and the final step, which is interviewing effectively. If you have those aspects covered, you're going to be well on your way. If you think you want more assistance, either with the actual writing of your resume, and yes, I can help you with that too, some of you may realize that a resume on its own is not enough, and you're going to want more. For some, you may be thinking, I don't even know what I want to do next. And if that's where you are, I've got help for you too. At the end of the webinar, I'll explain 4 ways to get more and become what I've coined a conscious career planner. Whether you want to work in a self-guided manner, work in a collaborative environment, or just one-on-one, those options will be available to you. And now I want to get started. Plain and simple, the recruitment landscape has gone through a dramatic shift, and even more so since the recovery of the recession. And unfortunately, The change isn't schools yet, and there's no specific place to get all of the information that you need. I'm going to give it to you tonight. As we go through our webinar, I want you to think of yourself as a business owner, not a job seeker. It's a huge difference, and it will make a difference in your resume. It's a dramatic shift in thinking, but it will definitely help you understand how to create a great resume. So here's the picture of your business owner. You've been in business for 25 years. When you started it that long ago, you were able to hire people who knocked on your front door or were referred from a friend. You didn't have to look very hard or long for good people. You brought them in and you trained them to work with your machinery and in all the different office areas you had, and they would fit into the culture of your organization. You had products that you shipped throughout North America. Your company was well known for its products and its service, and it was always honored for it. Fast forward to today. You have about 30 employees, all with different skill levels. You've struggled over the years with global competition, and it's straining every single aspect of your business. You are constantly challenged, but you always meet the challenge. You've invested heavily in equipment and your people, but it's with it being so very, very complex now, you need to have people that know the equipment inside and out, the processes inside and out, your IT inside and out, so you can meet your production quotas. You have 4 supervisors that you count on every day, in and out. They keep your operations moving productively. They all have responsibility for different aspects of the business. And as the owner, and I can speak from experience, you normally work 10, 12, and sometimes 15 hours a day. When one person is absent, your team fills in the gaps, but you help too, which can add more hours to the day. You run a very lean organization, but with everybody working together, it works well, and it's awesome. I start with this example because it's a very normal reality for all of us in the working world, whether we're in a company of 1, 5, 100, or 1,000. These are the changes that are happening. Post-recession, many organizations are very lean and resources are scarce. That's why talent is so vital. So let's get started. Now what we're going to go through, I'm going to demonstrate to you the recruitment changes that have happened in the last 10 years and how it has impacted business. This is important for you to know because it will help you understand why you need to adjust your resume style. From this day forward, I always want you to remember this information because it will guide you in creating a resume that gets noticed. As an HR professional, and having been in the field for more years than I'm willing to tell you, but some of you on the call know how long, I've lived recruitment in the good old days and experienced what it is now. So how recruitment used to work in the good old days. We kept all of resumes on file. We also sent everyone a letter letting them know we had received their resume. Today, HR budgets have been slashed and burned, just like every other budget in an organization. And like everybody else, they're doing multiple functions, multiple roles, and they receive hundreds of resumes that have to be reviewed. And they review them in 10 to 15 seconds. And if they don't review them personally, they review them with an applicant tracking system. And it weeds out resumes that don't match their needs. As an HR person, getting back to people, regardless of the outcome, spoke to my core values and it spoke to my heart. When we were able to do that, that was a really good day because you were being respectful of people. It was the right thing to do. With the changes we see today, I can guarantee you that no HR professional or recruiter likes not getting back to people. Unfortunately, the time and the volume dictates their priorities. If you've been looking for work and you've been very frustrated because you don't hear from them, that's exactly why it happened. In the past, companies had training budgets and expected to train people on work processes, apprenticeships, and they had training programs, and they were standard and plentiful. When you were hired, it was because you had a fit within a company. Today, with training budgets gone or reduced substantially, and just-in-time production, whether you're in manufacturing or any other type of business. There's not as much time for learning on the job. And in most cases, employees have to come in with the skills that you need, and they only need to learn specific methodology within a company. In the past, at the end of the workday, you could clear your to-do list. I can't even tell you the last time I scratched off one item on my to-do list. It's so massive, and by the end of the day, if I do get one item scratched off, I've had a good day. Because you weren't looking for the exact skills, but more of a fit, it was easier to fill roles based on the fit of your company. Because of the shift in jobs, they're much harder to fill. Today, organizations are not only looking for the exact skills to fit in and get for a person to get up to speed right away, they're also looking for the right fit. In the past, resumes were job description based, identifying what functions they were and what you did. Now they are accomplishment based, which not only outlines the functions that you have done, but also how you do them and what results you achieve. This helps employers pick out what they need quickly. In the past, one resume was widely accepted. It was very much okay to have a generic resume. Now you have to customize every single resume for every single job and every single reader. With your business owner hat on, understanding their reality, which is today's reality for many employers, your resume has to jump out and say, I am the answer to your needs. And we can do that in 15 to 30 seconds. So you're probably asking, what can a recruiter do in 15 to 30 seconds? I get that question all the time. It is their job to do it, and they can do it. I can assure you. But if your resume doesn't read in the manner in which they need, they will discard it. They'll skim the most important real estate on your resume, which is the top half of the first page. A lot of the focus that we're going to have in the next few minutes is on the top half of that page. If they like what they see there, they're going to continue to read. This top half should highlight your branding, have a powerful profile, and any specific education or skills that are a must requirement in the job ad. That section of your resume must stand out, and it must say to them, I am the answer to your dreams. When they see what they want, you've passed the 15-second test, and they will read on. They know what their key words are, and they know what they want. If you don't pass the test, you're put into pile B, or the recycling pile. And it may seem harsh, but it's true. They have sometimes hundreds of resumes for one job. It's really impossible to go through them all if they have a lot of jobs to fill. When I tell my clients this, they get angry and frustrated because everybody puts so much time and effort into their resume. After I'm able to talk to them about it and calm them down, I tell them that this is the key. It's really important you understand these changes, and then we can build a resume that will pass that 15-second test, and we do. And when we're finished, they are all usually in awe of their own transformation. What I'd like to do now is take some questions, because I know this topic provokes a lot of questions.
Hello, Lotta. Okay. Can everybody hear me all right? Just let me know in chat. Great. All right. Let's see. Joanne wants to know, what does rich in keywords mean?
That's a great question, Joanne. Rich in keywords means when an employer creates a job ad, they have specific words that are very important to them. So a key word in a resume or anything like that, or a cover letter, are the key words that an employer thinks are most important, whether that is education, whether it is experience, or whether it is something else that's important to that organization. A keyword is what's very important to that organization.
Jeff wants to know whether you make one solid resume for a variety of jobs or a different resume for different jobs.
Okay, great question, Jeff. And the question was, do we make one solid resume or a variety of resumes? And Jeff, we are going to cover that when we talk about resumes specifically. So yeah, the answer to your question is absolutely yes. You're going to have different resumes.
When it comes to the look of a resume, how fancy or plain should it be?
Okay, for anybody who can't hear that, the question was, when it comes to the look of a resume, how fancy or plain should it be? And this is specifically about the reader. When you're working with a resume, the reader is the key person. It's not you, which is unfortunate. So if you're in a creative environment, you may have to jazz up your resume and make it really provocative for a reader. However, if you're going and sending your resume through an applicant tracking system, it won't pick up symbols. It will only pick up characters. So if you are putting something through an applicant tracking system, you're best to have a text resume.
Lotta, I've got about 17 questions coming through right now. So why don't we, can we agree that maybe we can chat about it after the call? I just don't want to keep everybody. If we could move on.
For sure. Okay. That was great. Thanks for those questions. So now we're getting back into one of the questions you had, Jeff, and that's about resume styles. There are three typical resume styles: the chronological, sometimes called the reverse chronological, functional, and combination. So we're going to look at the chronological resume first. And when you see the three samples of the resumes that we have up on screen, you'll see that these are the body of the resumes that I have up here, and it is the work experience section. So a chronological resume, it is the most popular resume, and it's the most widely used and accepted because it's easy to review and it's easy to see the information. You can get it quickly. It has an emphasis on past employment history, and it shows the most recent job first. It is the best choice if you're looking for similar work to what you just held. It identifies an accomplishment under each job. And if you look at the example on your screen, it shows that the incumbent in this role with this resume has been an executive director and is probably looking for a similar type of role. It's easy to understand for a recruiter and easy to follow. The next type of resume is a functional resume. And a functional resume is the least favorite of recruiters. I think they're okay, but most recruiters find that it's hard to match the skills with the jobs. They may think that the readers tend to leave information out or try and hide information. This type of resume, though, is most widely used when switching careers or moving back into a field that you've been in previously or highlighting specific information on your work history. I just actually conferred with other career strategists, and they also agree, because this is one that not everybody uses. It is the right resume for switching careers or emphasizing skills, but always use it with caution or know how to support it with a great cover letter or personal introduction, because you wouldn't want somebody to throw out your resume just because they don't like the style of it. I personally have two resumes. One is chronological, and it highlights all of my HR skills and the functions that I've done in HR. And then I have a functional resume, and I use that one for any type of training that I'm doing. And because with my training opportunities amongst my HR work in a chronological resume, they tend to get lost. So training has its own resume, and it's a functional style. And when you want to emphasize the skills and expertise, first and foremost, this is the resume you're going to use. And you can see as the example on the screen, the skills and accomplishments are separated from the job experience. So what we're trying to highlight here is that all of the experience the person has and not so much with the job. A combination resume is just that. It's a combination of the chronological and the functional resume built into one. When used properly, it highlights the specific skills within a role. This is the same format as a chronological resume, but the accomplishments all have specific headings within the skills. Let's stop for just a minute and take some more questions about resume styles, because I know you're going to have some.
David is being funny and wants to know how to get a job on 2.5 Men. But I asked him to email that particular one to you specifically.
Yes.
Lotta, you indicated there were a few instances where an objective statement could be used. Can you tell me what they are?
Well, we are going to get objective statements, and we're going to talk about them shortly. But objective statements are part of the next piece that we're going to be looking at.
The other question is, I guess we talked about an ATS, and they're wondering exactly what that stands for.
Right, an applicant tracking system. And as I mentioned earlier, there are many organizations that have hundreds of resumes coming in. I was just doing work at a hospital, and they had over 100 vacancies. And so for every job, they were getting at least 100 to 200 resumes for each particular role that came in. So it's not humanly possible to track those. So an applicant tracking system is just a piece of technology that allows you to put in the keywords for what you want in a resume. And as I mentioned with a recruiter picking out the keywords in a job posting, the applicant tracking system will do that. So if your resume, especially in the top half, that prime real estate, has the keywords that they're looking for, it's going to pull it out and it's going to put it in pile A. And then it's going to weed out the different jobs in pile B and pile C. So the recruiter automatically won't even see your resume if it's in pile B or C. They'll only see your resume if it's in pile A. So that's why those keywords are absolutely vital. Okay, so I'd like to move on from the resume styles, and those are the three major ones, onto branding. Branding is very important from a career strategy perspective. So what is branding? Branding simply is a marketing tool that's created to make a memorable or ingrained statement of a product or of an image in your mind. Think of your favorite brand and what it does for you, and the brand that you detest. Very memorable, but for very different reasons. I'm often asked by my clients, what the heck does a brand have to do with a resume? And personal branding is just about setting yourself apart from everyone else. It's about creating your essential message. Your personal brand actually already exists. It's how everybody sees you. And it's a critical part of that 15 to 30 seconds that you have to impress and connect with the reader. It differentiates you from everybody else. And it should answer the question, what makes you different? And you are the answer to my needs. If you hire me, this is what you get. A really good branding statement can do that. So if you put your business owner hat on for just another minute, and if you were having problems with understanding accounting, and you saw at the top, as it is on this screen, helping you make sense of your numbers, and that was the first thing that you read after the person's name, how interested would you be in reading on? I think very. And if you're looking for a manufacturing leader who is very strong in assisting in change, the second one would intrigue you as well, and you would read on. These examples of brands are good ones. And the important part of a brand is if it's really truly about you and it speaks to who you are, it's going to connect you with the right reader. If you have a brand statement that doesn't appeal to somebody, that's okay, because it's probably not the place that you want to be anyway. So the next natural question I know you have is, how do I define my brand? And here it is. Identifying your brand will take some exploring for some, and it's an exercise in reflection for most. By working through the types of questions you see on the screen, your brand will appear. What you do naturally, and also what you do really well. When someone meets you, what do they see? Perhaps they see your work ethic. Maybe it's your dynamic personality that jumps out at them. Is it your passion for getting things done, or do you solve every single problem that comes your way? Do you outperform everybody in closing the sales deal? Could it be your honesty and your integrity that makes you most appealing? What is it that makes you truly different? These are difficult questions for some to answer, but they are questions you have to answer, and you have to know what makes you different and special in order to distinguish yourself from anybody else. I know you've got a great brand, and you need to know this to help an employer realize that you are the perfect match to their needs. They will ask you, so you might as well just put it right up in the front for them to see. Think of your favorite brand. It has a visual appeal, and it has also an emotion appeal. Ensure that you have both. Your brand will become your personal tagline on your resume, just below the name on your resume, and carried through in your profile and the rest of your resume. Your brand is going to be pulled together in a short sentence, in a phrase of 3 to 5 words, as you saw in the examples on the previous slide. The next piece on the resume is about your profile. Your profile is going to replace an objective statement. If you are still using an objective statement, get rid of it. There are only a few instances where objective statements are still going to be used. A traditional objective statement identifies what you want, and a profile identifies who you are and what you have to offer. It's important that every employer sees what you have to offer. It answers the question, what's in it for me? And along with your branding statement, it will take that 15 seconds and you will be in with the recruiter. So at the top of your resume, that top half of the page, you're going to have your name and your contact information. You're going to have your branding statement, and you're going to have your profile. Anybody can skim through that in 15 seconds, and that's what you want. Your profile statement is part of that prime real estate. It must be a solid introduction and advertisement of the skills and the qualifications that you have. It has to be strong enough so that the recruiter will want to read further, and it must connect with your brand. Your profile statement is going to be 3 to 5 well-crafted sentences that identify your strengths and match what technical competencies and behavior traits the potential employer is looking for. It has to address what results you can produce, and I know you've got lots. It has to be rich in those key words that we've talked about. It has to do that so it pops right out to the reader. And it has to be written in third person. And most of all, more than anything, it has to be authentic to you. If you were a business owner and you were strapped for time and you were needing a qualified technician and read these 2 statements, which one would you continue to read? The sad part about this is this can be the exact same person, only one has really put some emphasis in their profile statement and one still has their traditional looking job statement. The profile statement says, hey, this is what you get when you hire me. That's what you want. You want people to notice you. The next thing I want to do is move on to work experience. The top half of the resume is the golden piece of the resume. It is what you need people to see and read in 15 seconds. The bottom half and the balance of your resume is the proof. It's what you have said is in your profile. The rule of thumb here is that you have 1 accomplishment statement for every year in each of your roles. Work history, go back about 15 years. You don't have to go back much more than that, and typically going back more than that is going to make your resume longer than 2 pages, and not too many people are going to read a resume that's longer than 2 pages. Include your most significant accomplishment statements related to your you're applying for. You probably have so many accomplishment statements, but remember, only give the reader what they want. This lens that you're going to be looking at your resume through is so important. For those of you who are like me, who have been working for many, many years and who could have 5 pages to their resume, hold back. Remember, you only need 15 years back, and you only should have about 2 pages in your resume. You have to also use action-oriented accomplishment statements. When you look at the examples here, the first 3 words in each of the bullet points is grew, introduced, organized. These are all descriptive words. They will all relate to the level of the role that you worked in. You also need to ensure that you have either a quantifiable outcome when possible, and in these examples you can see the person was 15% over budget in a declining market, which is a strong statement, or $5 million in sales over 16 months. These are very good visuals for the reader. If you don't have a quantitative statement available, it's okay to use a qualitative statement, but you always have to identify that there's a result there, and you always have to identify what action you've taken. Give the reader as much visual content as possible. Now let's look at 2 more examples just so we can make this crystal clear for you. The first one is a quantitative statement, and it is most accepted and it's easily recognized. It provides a very good visual of an accomplishment. It will attract the reader because it has tangible results. The second one is a qualitative statement. It is used when quantitative is not available and when you can't show a definite outcome. And sometimes it's hard to either remember a definite outcome or you just can't put it into numbers. And that's okay. So if you look at these 2 examples, with the first one, you can clearly see performance for this statement. There's action in it. You've hired, trained, coached, and there's specifics in sales, cash handling, store operations, and customer service, and all with a turnover of 0%. If I'm in retail, then that's going to attract me to read that or call that person right away for an interview, because 0% turnover is something that's pretty spectacular in retail. The second is a qualitative example. It shows softer skills, but it identifies specifics with what was done. Updating documents and spreadsheets, it shows what was done, and the outcome, it's more efficient, and it's produced a more productive environment. These are all appealing words, and it really shows that the person has made an impact. So just wondering, Lauren, if there's any questions about accomplishment statements. Okay, so we don't have any right now. So if we do have any, please feel free to add in some questions about accomplishment statements. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is talk about the education.
Oh, where should these fit in?
Okay, there is a question now. Okay, where should accomplishment statements fit in? Accomplishment statements are in your work experience section of your resume. And that is if it's in a chronological resume. And if you have a functional resume, then your accomplishment statements are going to be right underneath all of the descriptors that you've had in your resume. So if you look back on the examples of the chronological resume where the bullet points are, those are the accomplishment statements. And if you look at the functional resume sheet when you have a chance to review this again, those accomplishment statements are up at the top, and I think the headings that we had there were accounting and treasury. So that's where your accomplishment statements will go in your resume. Okay. Any other questions about accomplishments there, Lauren?
Jeff just wanted to know if you could go over the difference again, but I'm sending him the answer.
Okay. So Jeff, that answer is coming over to you. Okay. So I've got some great information now for my IT buddies. So we're going to start with the education. And this is really important for specifically IT and healthcare. So the education, it can appear in 2 places in your resume. If there is a must qualification for the job, it should be highlighted in the most valuable real estate, which again is the top half. If you have a designation that's a must for your role, it should be right beside your name so it's crystal clear of if you have the specific designation or not. In IT and healthcare, they're going to have examples of different aspects that you work with right below your profile statement. So, for example, in IT, you work with different platforms, different languages, different tools, different methodologies. You're going to have that information right below your profile statement. So, again, it's part of that top half of the page. And the reason you want that there is as an IT professional, if you're being asked for the different platforms or languages, they don't want to mess around with it, and they don't want to go to the last page of your resume to find that. They want to know immediately if you have that information. So that's where you should be putting it. It's the same with healthcare. Healthcare is very specific about relevant education, specialization, or memberships in good standing. That's very important in that field as well. If you have a field that has must qualifications, and it's more than a few, I highly recommend that you put them right under your profile statement in that top half of the page. If your education is not a must qualification or requirement, then it can go after your work experience. Also, if you've graduated from university, you don't have to put the year of the graduation in, because in some cases that can lead to bias, and we don't want to see that at all. The next area is going to be volunteer. You're going to hear from different recruiters, from different career strategists, whether or not you put volunteer information in your resume. I personally think that it's a personal choice, and I like to see it in there because it helps me understand who you are as a person. I think it demonstrates commitment to community, profession, or your personal life, and it demonstrates also that you have lifelong learning. And that's really important to employers these days. As long as you can demonstrate you're going to continue to learn, that's a feather in your cap. It can also be a conversation starter, which is always great when you're trying to break the ice. And it also shows that you can handle more than just the day in and day out work. These are all very good reasons to add volunteer opportunities. But again, that's a personal choice that you have. There's also something else that you can add to your resume that I guarantee will be a conversation starter. And that's something that I call a defining moment. If you have something that's extra special in your life, always include it. Wear it with pride. If you've climbed Mount Everest, put it in your resume because it's going to create conversation. So we've covered the areas of your resume. These are the different areas. But before we switch gears, just wondering if there are any more questions.
Oh, yeah. Penny wants to know if you can highlight courses you've taken from other companies that you've worked for.
Absolutely. In the section where you have skills and knowledge or areas of expertise, absolutely put all of the courses that you've taken, but only put the ones that are relevant for the job that you're going for. If you don't think it has anything to do with the job that you're looking at, take them out. Because again, you don't want a resume that's more than 2 pages, and you don't want the reader to have to skim through and find information. So if you have lots of different courses, take it out if it's not relevant, but leave it in absolutely if it is.
And do we put that we graduated high school if we also graduated university?
Oh, very good question. No, you don't put that you graduated high school at all because it's assumed that if you have a university degree that you've also completed high school. The other piece of the resume that you don't have to put on that everybody still thinks they have to is right at the bottom. Everybody will put references available upon request. Again, this is not necessary to put on your resume because you're going to be asked for references, and everybody knows that. So, and you have to have them willing to give references and have to have them ready for everybody. So, no, take that off because you have lots of other great stuff that you want to get in there in those 2 pages.
We've got so many more questions, Lotta. Do you want to take one more?
Sure.
Okay. Sorry, my screen moved. What if you're applying for a job that and you want to put experience, but the experience you have doesn't apply to the job you're looking for?
That's an interesting question. If again, the resume has to be relevant for every job that you're applying for. If there's something that you don't think is relevant, then take it off your resume. However, what I do need you to think about is, before you say it's not relevant, are there skills in there that you can transfer to other roles? There are so many people right now that are switching careers and they're changing careers, and it's really important that you look at the things that you're doing and what are the skills you can take to different roles, because it is always important. There are so many transferable skills. Okay. The other question that I often get asked about is that people say they're not comfortable talking about themselves. And in this style of resume, in the profile statement and in the accomplishment statements, that they get uncomfortable with that. And, I totally understand that, and I do work with my clients in trying to overcome this, because it is really difficult at times. We're not used to talking about ourselves and patting ourselves on the back. But I have to tell you, in this world where resumes are so important, it is really important that you work and you dig to find those things and get comfortable with talking about yourself in a very positive manner on your resume. It has to be in your branding statement, it has to be in your profile statement, and it has to also be in your accomplishments. I can't stress enough how important that is. So now, we've reviewed the different areas of the resume. If there are questions at the end, I'm more than happy to keep answering those questions until you have your answers. But what I want to do now is I want to move on to the next section that I've wanted to talk about, and that's how to keep your resume and your career in top form, because I think they're the same thing. So you're going to do a lot of work on your resume, and you're going to be really proud of it, and you should be. And you're going to make many modifications to it before it's just right. And I guarantee that. And you know what? That's normal, and that's totally okay. I do a lot of that with my clients. And when you put so much work into it, you don't want it to lapse. Your resume, it's a lot like not taking your car for an oil change. The motor's going to seize up. Think of your resume not as a document that you need when you're looking for work, but again, think of it as that metaphor, creating you to be the best you. It's going to take regular work, just like oil changes in your car. That's what it needs to take it running. However, your resume is a marketing document. It only gets you in the front door. So you always have to watch your brand, and you have to know if you're living up to your brand. You always have to be creating new accomplishments to stay marketable. You have to remember that you have to have one accomplishment per year. I know you're going to have a lot more than that, but it's really important when you think of that 2-page resume and the length of careers that we have. You don't really need more than one on your resume, unless you've had a banner year, then you can add some more in. With your education and skills, how are you keeping them in top form? We don't have to be in a classroom to keep our education up to top speed. Even by volunteering and, being a treasurer on a board or something like that, that's also giving you some great experience. And you know what? Life is a big classroom, so don't always think that upgrading your education or your skills means you have to be sitting in a classroom. These are all important aspects of your resume. And because it just gets you in the front door, you also are going to have job search strategies, and you're going to have your interview strategies in top form as well. So what I want to do now is I want to reiterate the promise that I made to you in the beginning. So what I want to do is just review with you what we've covered right now. So we've covered why resumes have changed. It's the key to understanding how to craft a powerful, powerful resume. We've looked at your resume from the reader's eyes, and it's what they want, not what you want. Understanding the importance of branding and how to create a brand for you. We've looked at the different types of resumes and how to keep your resume in top form. We've also looked at how to keep your career in top form. And we have covered a lot of information. And some of you may have exactly what you need, and if you do, I am so happy. That's what I want for you today, and you've made my day just by being here. As a first step in the career strategy, a robust resume is the golden key to get you started, and making the changes that we've talked about is definitely going to help you, and it is the first tool in the toolbox. Some of you may realize that you need more help, and with that, I'm going to fulfill the second promise that I made to you at the beginning of this and talk to you about the 4 options available that I spoke to you about at the beginning. So, if you're the kind of person who is self-directed and wants to understand everything, this is what you need. All 5 of these guidebooks are books that I've written with the best of career strategy and HR strategy in mind, and it represents 216 pages of current, relevant, and timely information, coaching questions to help you through, space to craft your answers, and a step-by-step guide to make the process easy for you. I want this to be easy. The guides are 8.5 by 11 for ease of use. The conscious career planning process helps you clearly understand the entire career process. And I know it's a long journey. And it helps you understand the link between your accomplishments, your resume, and your interview. And there is a secret in there, making sure that all 3 of those are connected. And it takes the guesswork out and makes your process so easy. Conscious Career Planning, Your Career, Your Way is 95 pages of vital career strategy insights. It's information and wisdom that's going to assist you in this lifelong journey. If you need help, before the resume, it includes information on your values and your priorities, which, sometimes we struggle with when we're really struggling with our career, getting back to what's important for us. It helps us understand our behavior and the behavior of others, because in this world where we're struggling so much with so many people in their stress zones, this type of information is extremely helpful. It's about networking, because some of us haven't been networking, and this is an important concept to really get comfortable with. And it's identifying what you want, and it covers the first topic of the conscious career planning process, which is identifying your skills and accomplishments, and it takes you step by step how to go through them. The second guide is branding you to stand out, what we've been talking about. It's 17 pages with specific information on how to create your brand, what to do with it, and how to maintain it. Then, the one that everybody wants is the marketing communications that get you noticed. It's 33 pages that specifically cover step-by-step helping you craft the resume you want, as well as cover letters and thank you notes. This covers the very important second step in the conscious career planning process and starts to connect the dots. Then there's social building blocks for your career. Social media is here to stay, and this guide shows how to work with social media, specifically LinkedIn and also Facebook and Twitter. Last but not least, interviewing with success. The final, but the very important step in this conscious career planning process. This 53-page guide outlines the different types of interviews, provides the guidelines and understanding behavior-based interviews, because today interviews are all behavior-based, and it identifies the 12 top questions that you have to nail in an interview and how to prepare positive responses. We do have this low introductory price of $97 for the paperback and $47 for the e-versions. But if you only are here to get help with your resume, I can help you with that too. As a self-directed person who is confident with your other job search skills but just in need of resume help, your answer is here. This guidebook is available in paper copy, spiral bound for $14, or just $5 as an ebook. You can get it tonight if you're interested. The guide includes all the different resume types, samples of each section, and a full resume sample so you can see how they look when they're finished. And it's samples of resumes across different industries. It also explains how to craft your cover letters to match your job ads. It also includes cover letters and samples, and let's not forget thank you cards. When we're talking about branding, I'm not sure if you know that branding is so important, and a sign of a good brand is sending a thank you card. And the best thank you cards on the market are Hallmark, and only 5% of applicants send thank you notes. So you would stand out specifically if you sent a thank you note after you had an interview. If you've decided you want the books, but you need help getting through them, I have 2 more options for you. One is a group coaching program. This program is meant for individuals who need help and like working in a collaborative environment and are able to share challenges knowing that they're going to get great confidential support. If you also want to get through everything in a timely manner, this one's for you. This program runs on 4 separate weeks, and the topics that are included are on your screen now. As a bonus, if you really want this type of a program, I'm going to throw in an extra half hour of a personal phone consultation so we can review your needs and your challenges and help you through the different aspects that you need personally. Lastly, there's the 101 program. If you are someone who wants individual attention to hammer it out together, this program is for you. This program includes all the guides and all the coaching you need in 5 hours to meet your specific goals. And it's dedicated to you. So right now, we're almost at the end of our time. We're just approaching 8 o'clock, and I'm committed to providing career professionals with the information they need to keep their career productive. And I want to hear from you. And I hope that this has been a great 1 hour for you. So what I'd like you to be able to do is either through your chat box or connecting with me on email, I'd love to know what you want to hear more about. And on the screen are just some examples of the different aspects that I can help you with in different webinars. So we've got interviewing, networking, branding, researching, job search, or anything else that's on your mind right now. So again, enter your information in the chat box, or I'm happy to take it by email. Now I wanted to leave you with a final thought. Everybody tells us that there's no job security these days, and I'm going to tell you that there is. However, the only job security that we have is in our resume. And what's in our resume are our skills and our accomplishments. When we have strong skills and strong accomplishments, we are going to be okay with our job security. So the question I wanted to leave with you is, what does your resume say about you? I'd like you to please join me on Facebook at Conscious Career Planning with Lotta. I really want to know what your challenges are. I'd love to hear about the questions you have, and I'd love to get a great group going and just talking about the different things you have. Every day on my Conscious Career Planning with Lotta page on Facebook, I provide some insights, I provide articles that I've written, and I also provide options for, other articles and career strategy advice, a lot of what we've talked about tonight. Or you can also connect with me on LinkedIn, and I know a lot of us are connected on LinkedIn as well. If you'd like more information on any of the information that we've talked about tonight, please go to consciouscareerplanning.com/program. If you have any questions, you can reach me at lotta@hrcareertransition.com. I just wanted to say thanks so much for attending tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure spending the last hour with you. And I know we have some questions still coming in, so I am happy to work with Lauren right now to take some of those questions.
And Lauren is typing faster than she has ever typed.
Lauren's been typing the whole time. So there's lots of questions on the line.
There are so many questions, and I apologize for all the typos. Okay, so I'm just going to run up, and we're going to kind of take some of them from the top and see what we can do. Okay. Coming. Sorry. No, I'm not going to be able to move my hands after tonight. You're right.
Oh, somebody said that?
Yeah.
Who was that?
That was Jeff. Sorry. Give me 1 second, guys. Every time somebody types,
It keeps moving.
It moves me down to the back. You have got so many compliments. I just want to say, thank you so much, everybody, for supporting Lotta. I'm going to let her read all of these later, just so her head doesn't get too swelled up. But one question was, is there an option to purchase the self-guided program and then arrange for something with you afterwards?
Absolutely. I'm here to help you. You can absolutely start with the self-guided program, and then we'll absolutely, whether you want to go into a group coaching program or want one-on-one coaching or you just want an hour, we will absolutely do whatever it is you need to accommodate your needs to get you going.
Ilana wants to know how to couch her weaknesses in an interview.
Oh, that's a great question. And so it's not so much about hiding your weaknesses, but it's more about emphasizing your strengths. And in the interview guide, there is a question in there. How do you, the question is that you'll always be asked, tell me about your weakness or tell me about your top 2 weaknesses. So what you want to do is you want to identify a weakness that you have that's not necessarily going to shut you out from a job, but the best way to answer that question is identify the weakness, but identify also what you're doing to overcome it. And so if your weakness is in public speaking, let them know that you're taking opportunities to speak in public or that you're going to Toastmasters because you want to be a better speaker. So don't leave it hanging. Don't just say, my weakness is I don't like to speak in public. Make sure that your weakness is going to be identified with improving it, because we all have them. So that's a great question.
Ashraf wants to know, does it help to call and check on the status of an application?
Ashraf, that's a really good question, too. These are great questions. Part of the problem, and I mentioned it as well, that recruiters aren't getting back to people. And I hear from my clients all the time how frustrating it is. But absolutely, when you are in an interview, you absolutely should say, can you tell me what the next steps are and can I expect to hear from you? When that time has passed, give yourself a couple of extra days and then absolutely follow up with that person, because chances are they've either gotten really busy or something has happened, and there are those times where they just don't follow up. So yes, I've had so many clients who have been so frustrated and left hanging, and yes, it is really rude, and as I tried to explain, it's a sign of the times. So yes, you have to be vigilant in your job search, and you have to be vigilant in following up with people. And there are times also that will actually get you to the top of the interview pile, which is another really great thought to have.
Mike wants to know, what if you're in the process of getting some more education on your resume? Can you say that?
Oh, absolutely. If you are in process and you're taking a specific course, just identify the course and identify, if it's a 5-level course, identify the ones that you've completed and also what your potential targeted completion date is. That's absolutely a valid thing to do because, again, it shows lifelong learning, which is what every employer wants to see.
You know what, Lotta? I wonder whether, just so we can respect everybody's time, there are a couple more questions that came in to your email, and one of them is, I'm not really looking for a job, but I just want to keep my options open. Do I need to have a resume right now, or should I wait until I'm looking?
Good question, too. I am a firm believer in updating your resume regularly. Like your financial planning, it has to be at least once a year. I have too many clients who come to me rushing, saying they need a resume really, really quickly, like overnight or in the next day or two. And unfortunately, you just don't get the same results as when you do it methodically over time. And if you spend some time now updating your resume, if you look at it a year from now, it's not going to need a lot of tweaking at that point in time. But many of my clients have left their resume for 5 years or more, and quite frankly, none of us have the memory that we used to have. So, yes, keep it updated.
Joanne wants to get out of her current field altogether, but she doesn't know what she wants to do. Can you help someone like her?
Oh, Yeah, well, absolutely, and I actually get excited to help people like that. The conscious career planning process does help with that. So the 95-page book, I wrote that especially for those people who had lost their direction and who had lost their job. I was just overwhelmed with the number of people who absolutely had no idea what they wanted to do during the recession because their skills were no longer valid in the marketplace. So it covers all of those aspects of career planning. The options are that you can buy the books on yourself, or if you need more guidance, I can also recommend the individual program as well. Both would be great starters for anybody looking to switch up completely.
And the last question was, how do the coaching programs work? I wonder if we should just kind of direct them to the consciouscareerplanning.com?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to consciouscareerplanning.com/program, there's more information about the dates and the topics of the group coaching program. The one-on-one coaching program is totally between yourself and myself. I do have some evening appointments available, and I have some daytime appointments, so we can absolutely work within the time frames that you have.
And there's a ton more, but I've asked everybody to just kind of pull their thoughts together and email you, because there is a whole lot of blog posts and articles and all kinds of things that you can write that will answer everybody's questions at once.
Absolutely. So please connect with me on LinkedIn or on my Facebook page, and I am going to be writing blogs, and Lauren's going to be making sure of that, and we're going to be staying in touch. So I think Lauren was saying that's most of the questions that have been answered now. I really, really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today. What I want for you is for you to have a very powerful resume and for you to be in a position to get any job that you want. And I know that this webinar has helped you with some information, and I would love to hear about any other topics you would like to hear about, because I am more than happy to do some more webinars. So I wanted to thank you very much for attending. It has been a real joy. It's been awesome that we've had almost 70 people on the call tonight, and I look forward to connecting real soon. Bye for now.